Randy Blazak is a sociology professor at the University of Oregon, and he's also the chairman of the Coalition Against Hate Crime. And Randy joins me now live from Portland in Oregon. Thanks so much for speaking to us here on TRT World. Now, where do we start? A lot has been happening with regards to extremism and hate crime. We've just seen the Pittsburgh shooting, another suspicious package sent to CNN. What's happening and how do we relate it all?
Yeah, it's hard to make sense of it when it all comes in big waves like this. But there's been an element of the extreme right wing that sees violence as an appropriate way of achieving their goal. There is a rhetoric about a second American Revolution or a civil war. There are anti-Semitic conspiracy theories that we know now can become incredibly murderous. And so this has been bubbling under the American culture for a while. In 1995, we had a horrific bombing in Oklahoma City that killed 168 people, including 19 children. The bomber in that, Timothy McVeigh, was hoping to start a race war in America, fueled by a conspiracy theory that the Jews controlled the American government, and the only way to rescue America was through massive levels of violence. That way of thinking has not gone away, and so that's been a part of this. And then we have the kind of political climate that we're in. There's only magnified that way of thinking, including the popularity of conspiracy theories, the kind of us versus them mentality, that we have enemies within our own society that include the media or rival political parties. And it's kind of a recipe for more of this to come, I'm afraid to say.
Mm-hmm. And just very quickly, I want to ask you your thoughts on the Pittsburgh shooting. President Trump saying that it was a hate crime, not linked to gun crime. Your thoughts on that?
Well, it certainly is a hate crime, and it certainly reflects some of the long-standing anti-Semitism the extreme right has expressed over the years. It's why we talk about these crimes as acts of terrorism. They're meant to terrorize large communities, not just the 11 people who were killed, but the entire Jewish community in the United States and maybe around the world is reminded of their vulnerability. And so we treat these crimes differently, but there is a real kind of fuel that has been added to this fire of divisiveness that is put the country really at a crossroads. We really have to think about how we want to go as a nation into the future.
Okay, and let's talk about the future. 9 days until those midterm elections. What is the Trump administration going to do now with regards to these extremism groups? Could we expect a zero tolerance policy?
Well, it's always tougher when we're around election time. The rhetoric is amped up, the political divisiveness and the kind of, one side gets a point and the other side gets a point. I mean, there really is sort of this tension that's in the air. And what is needed right now is frankly leadership that says this is a real threat. And part of that threat is how we are conducting ourselves in the political arena. And that includes all of us, Republicans, Democrats, kind of all the people who participate, need to be able to go into this next week and bring things down a little bit, because I think there's a concern that this is going to add more tension that pushes those people into acts of violence. And it's going to be kind of a tense next week and a half before we hit Election Day.
Okay, Randy, thank you so much for your insight here on TRT World. That was Randy Blazak, a sociology professor at the University of Oregon and also representing the Coalition Against Hate Crime.